Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MTG Traders. My name is Taryn, and this is Jund Friends. Alright guys, so I wanted a deck that was competing against the Tier 1 and Tier 2 decks. It was a super powerful deck. It's going to be a little bit on the pricey side, but it can shut down a deck in no time flat. This is called Jund Friends. Basically, it's about having lots of different planeswalkers on the battlefield, namely Nissa and Vraska together, making sure we can shut down our opponent's side of the field, and then get in for damage turn over turn. But before I get into the video, make sure you hit the like if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell right beside the subscription button to know when we upload a video on the channel and when we go live on the stream right here on YouTube. But without further ado, let's get into the deck. We start off at the planeswalker slot. We have 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance, a 4-mana, 4-loyalty planeswalker with 4 abilities. Of course, we can do +1, exile the top card of our library. You may cast that card. If you don't, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. We can also +1 and give 2 red mana to our mana pool. And then -3, Chandra can deal 4 damage to target creature, and then -7, of course. If that happens, that's basically game for us. That is one of the ways we can actually win the match. Chandra here is a fantastic way for us to hit in on turn 3 or 4 by either ramping us up with some energy, making sure we can kind of kill something on the battlefield, or again, making sure we can ultimate. Next up, we have 4 Nissa Vital Force. This is a more important planeswalker for us than Chandra in the sense as far as like getting in turn over turn. She's a 5-mana planeswalker with 5 loyalty counters. Our +1 is untap target land you control until your next turn. It becomes a 5/5 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. So that's one of the ways we can actually get in on turn 5 or turn 4, technically, with a Gift of Paradise. Next turn, -3 can actually be used to get a previous planeswalker that died, namely Vraska, from the graveyard back into our hand. And her -6, we probably won't use it ever, but it is kind of useful if we want to get some card advantage. Overall, though, Nissa is a great play on turn 4 or turn 5, getting in for 5 damage again and again. Next up, we have 3 Vraska Relic Seeker, a 6-mana, 6-loyalty planeswalker. Her +2 is create a 2/2 Pirate with Menace. Her -3 is destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature, and then create a treasure token. And her -10, which is her ultimate, of course, target player's life total becomes 1. Now, one of the best ways to use Vraska is in concert with either a Chandra or a Nissa, either basically killing 2 creatures on the battlefield, or creating a 2/2, or creating a 5/5 with Nissa and killing something with Vraska to make sure our 5/5 gets in. And of course, if Vraska's ultimate goes off, we want to make sure we have a Chandra on the battlefield to just +1 and deal 2 damage to our opponent's face. Either way though, Vraska, Nissa, and Chandra all work really well together in helping clear the board, getting a damage turn over turn, and just helping like either ramp up either turn 4 Chandra or Nissa, or in turn 5 Vraska. But let's move on to the other cards in the deck. We have 4 Attuned with Aether. The rest of the cards in the deck are basically going to be ramping cards to get our planeswalkers out. A 4/1 mana card, sorcery, search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into your hand, then you get 2 energy. We can also use that energy later for some Harness Lightnings and some much needed removal. Next up, we have 4 Fatal Push, because early game removal is key since we don't have any creatures in the main board thanks to the planeswalker strategy we're running. So it's basically the best 1-mana black drop in the format right now. You guys know that already. Destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less, and of course it has Revolt. Destroy the creature if it has converted mana cost 4 or less if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. So a great way to use this card is if we have a Vraska on the battlefield, it kills something, creates a treasure, then sack the treasure for the Fatal Push cast, and actually get a Revolt trigger off that treasure leaving the battlefield. Moving up to some more removal, we have 3 Harness Lightning. Because we'll be generating quite a bit of energy with Aether Hubs, as well as Attuned with Aether, Harness Lightning can come in and actually shoot something down for 5, 6, maybe even 7, but is a fantastic removal spell for us, and an instant speed removal spell as well. And also, if we just need to get some energy too for some Aether Hubs, we can do that too. Moving on to board wipes, we have 3 Bantu's Last Reckoning, a 3-mana sorcery, destroy all creatures, lands you control, don't untap during your next untap step. So Bantu's Last Reckoning is going to be like one of those last-ditch efforts to get some creatures out of the way, namely mono red aggro, or any kind of teamer energy strategy, or 4-color strategy. Bantu's Last Reckoning is going to help kind of clear the board. We can start using Nissa to untap some lands and get in for some damage, or untap a land and then play something else, so we're not technically behind too much on that following turn. Moving on from Bantu though, we have 3 Sweltering Suns, another kind of a board wipe spell for us. It's a 3-mana sorcery. Sweltering Suns deal 3 damage to each creature, and it has cycling for 3 mana. So Sweltering Suns can be a great strategy to go up against a round up red strategy, a go wide strategy like a token-based strategy, the Abzan strategy we're currently seeing in the meta, but it is terrible against the Godpharaoh's Gift strategy, or maybe a go large strategy like the Constrictor decks that we're seeing from time to time. But in game 1, Sweltering Suns is a fantastic way to either clear the board or just cycle it for some extra card draw. Next up, we have 4 Vraska's Contempt, a 4-mana instant speed removal spell. Exile target creature or planeswalker, we gain 2 life. So against any kind of strategy where they're going to be playing out a Chandra on turn 3 or 4, we want to have Vraska's Contempt in our hand to get rid of it. We also have a way to get rid of a Scarab God as well, because it does exile it too. So against against a blue-black control strategy or a 4-color energy strategy, Vraska's Contempt is going to help make sure we get rid of either a Glorybringer, a Scarab God, or a Chandra, Torch of Defiance. It's a total 4 of here because there are some pesky creatures in the meta right now that can be a total pain in the butt if they go to the graveyard twice. Moving on from Vraska's Contempt though, we have 4 Treasure Map, a 2-mana artifact. Of course, we can pay 1, scry 1, and if it gets 3 counters on it, we can actually flip it, and it turns into a land, giving us colorless, but it also gives us 3 treasure tokens as well, and we can actually pay those and tap our Treasure Map that's been flipped and draw a card, or just use those for any kind of colorless mana we want to use. Colorful mana, rather, I guess. But overall, Treasure Map is a great turn 2 play for us, helping us scry to help kind of like even out our plays and make sure we either get into our Planeswalkers as early as we can, or get into some pump spells or mana as soon as possible. And of course, the last cards in the deck, we have enchantments. We have 4 Gift of Paradise, a 3-mana enchantment aura. Enchant land. When Gift of Paradise enters the battlefield, we gain 3 life, so it's a great tempo gain against a aggro strategy, but it can also tap for 2 mana of any color and add it to our mana pool. So again, Gift of Paradise, Treasure Map, and Attuned with Aether are all ways to make sure that our board state is kind of growing really largely with mana, and making sure we can get out our Planeswalker plays as quickly as possible. But moving on to lands, we have 4 Aether Hub that comes in, gives us 1 energy, and we can pay 1 energy and add 1 mana of any color to our mana pool. It can also tap for colorless mana, and of course, since we have Attuned with Aethers and Harness Lightnings, those kind of add to it as well. So this is kind of just a dual land card for us overall, and it's not really that bad. Next up, we have 4 Blooming Marsh, a fast land that comes in and taps for black or green. Just a fantastic card for us. Next up, we have 4 Dragon Skull Summit. Because we have a lot of black and a lot of red, we really need a dual land in here, and it's a buddy land, so if we have a swamp or a mountain coming on the battlefield, Dragon Skull Summon is going to help us kind of deal with that really well and coming in untapped. Next up, we have 1 Scavenger Grounds. Godfarer's Gift does need to be represented in this strategy. We do have Vraska's Contempt as well, and we do have Vraska in the deck as well to kill some artifacts, but Scavenger Grounds is just going to be a one-off here, just kind of represent that we can exile a graveyard if we need to. Next up, we have 3 Forest, and then we have 3 Mountain, and then 3 Swamp. Rootbound Crag could have been brought in here, but I think adding that extra dual land just might have been a little bit too much for the mana base. I think having the 3 or 9 basic lands in the deck helps kind of smooth it over a little bit better. But let's say we're getting trampled by a control strategy, or kind of getting trampled by a more heavy creature-based strategy. What can we do in the sideboard? Let's go over it. We have 3 Duress. This is a great way to shut down a control strategy, shut down a strategy that has a lot of negates in their hand after game 1, and kind of make sure we have a safe way to get out our Planeswalkers without being countered. Next up, we have 3 Abrade. Godfarer's Gift is annoying and is back in full force, and there are 3 Abrade in the sideboard to represent that we can actually kill it in game 2 quite quickly, as well as do 3 damage to a creature if we need to. Next up, we have 3 Lightning Strike. Doing some redirect damage to Planeswalkers like a Nissa is quite good for Lightning Strike, but it's also a great way to kind of finish out an opponent that's kind of like hanging on for dear life. If they have really good ways to get rid of our Planeswalkers, Lightning Strike is going to help kind of deal those extra points of damage to close out the match. Next up, we have 2 Appetite for the Unnatural. There are several enchantments in the format right now that are actually a pain in the butt to deal with, like Ixalan's Binding and Cast Out. We want to make sure that Appetite for the Unnatural can kill those and actually gain us some life on the side. Keep in mind too that Sorcerer's Spyglass is also a card that can shut us down completely, like naming Nissa, for example. So Appetite for the Unnatural might come in for that too, but we do have a Abrade for those as well. Next up, we have a wild card here. We're splashing wide for Ixalan's Binding because we have lots of treasures and the Aether Hub, as well as the Gift of Paradise. We can actually get another color into the mix here, and Ixalan's Binding is a fantastic way for us to kind of shut down our opponent's strategy without them really realizing that we have white in the deck in game 2. Again, of course, Ixalan's Binding is a 4-mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Ixalan's Binding leaves the battlefield, but the secondary ability is what makes it awesome. Your opponent can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. So going up against a control strategy, they play out a Scarab God. We Ixalan's Binding the Scarab God. They can't replay Scarab God until they get rid of Ixalan's Binding, which they might not be able to do. Same thing goes for the Bristling Hydras of the world, the Chandras, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's really annoying, we want to get rid of. We're bringing in Ixalan's Binding to make sure that they don't have follow-up plays on them. And the last card in the deck here, since we have a lot of ways to get mana, we have 1 Sandworm Convergence, a 8-mana enchantment. Creatures with flying can't attack you or Planeswalker you control, so that shuts down our Glorybringer problem. And at the beginning of your end step, create a 5/5 worm creature token. So it's a great way to build out our board state and just kind of hang back and wait for our opponent to basically just die. Or have an answer to kill the enchantment. Most likely in the mid to late game like this, they've spent all of their removal. But that is the full 75, guys. Let's go to the list here. On MTG Traders is coming to a 176 tickets, so it's a bit pricier than your average run-of-the-mill deck that I put on the channel here, but I do think it's really powerful and has a pretty solid strategy of competing against several of the top decks in the format at the moment. I really like what's going on in this deck. deck, and I hope you guys do too. But of course, that is it for the deck. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have any suggestions? I know that I made a Jund deck here, but I actually thought about making a Sultai deck with Scarab God as well, so I might redo that list too in the future, but I think the Jund list here is actually quite fun too, especially if you really like Planeswalkers and don't really like playing creatures. But that's it for the video, guys. Like the video if you like it, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell right beside the subscription button to know when we upload a new video on the channel and when we go live on the stream right here on YouTube. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.